to make sure that our education is accessible, is affordable, and is relevant. And that is the reason why we have changed the funding model of our education. It wasn't working. Many of you, if you are following events in Kenya, most of our universities were struggling because they didn't have money. Because we promised them 80% scholarship, we gave them 40%, and we did nothing about it. We have changed the model, and we are going to make sure that our education is fit for purpose, equips the most important asset we have, our human capital, and to make sure that it works for Kenya and it works for where we want to, the partners that we want to work with as we deploy our labor in many parts of the world. We are spending at the moment $5 billion every year on education, $5 billion US. And we want to make sure that investment has a payback. So we are sorting out education, making sure that our education, as I said, is accessible, is affordable, and is relevant. Number three, I'm talking about cost of living. Number three, we are going to make sure that we deal with our health delivery mechanism. Why? About 1 million Kenyans every year end up in poverty because of hospital bills. I know many of you guys seated here, occasionally you are asked to pay hospital bills. True or not true? All the time. Not occasionally. I want to help you sort out that space. And what we have said is the following. We have changed the law in Kenya for delivery of health. It was not working. So we now have 4 pieces of legislation, new legislation, to make sure that we deliver universal health. We want to make sure that every Kenyan has a health insurance facility. Every Kenyan. You people who live in this country know the value of health insurance. You know that if you don't have health insurance, you are in trouble. True or not true? And that is why you hear people in Kenya calling me names, including the ZAKAYO you hear. Because, and I have said I don't mind being ZAKAYO, I don't mind. So long as we sort out our country, I have no problem. Are we together? So we want to make sure, and I have said that those who, let me put it this way, we are going to pay for health insurance on the basis of one's income. You know? The more you pay, the more you earn, the more you pay. And that is why we are saying those who cannot afford, we're going to make sure that the government of Kenya pays for them. We have said the people who are paying 500 shillings, we will do an assessment of their ability. And those whose assessment is lower, we will reduce that to about 300 shillings. And we are going to make sure that every citizen has access to health. I'm very proud of Susan Akomicha. She is in our midst, this girl here. She's doing a good job. And her team at the Ministry of Health. So we are working on that. We're going to sort out that health. If we sort out health, we sort out education, and we sort out agriculture and have enough food, we will begin the journey to spend less in that space by making sure that we reduce the cost of living. That is assignment number 2 that I have. Assignment number 3 is to create jobs. Because we have close to 5 million Kenyans who don't have jobs. Our own children, Kenyans out of school, Kenyans out of college, Kenyans out of university, and they don't have jobs. And you see, for a long time, we always said we are going to grow the economy, and then the economy is going to create jobs. This time round, we must be intentional. We must be deliberate on creating jobs. Yeah? Some of you here may have run away from Kenya because there was no job, because you didn't have a job. Many of you are, yeah? True or not true? Yes. So we must be intentional. And how are we going to create jobs? Let me give you 5 ways we are planning to create jobs in Kenya. Because, and we want to be judged. You know, this story, kuongea tu hewa, and then there is nothing. Tunaelewana? So number 1, we are going to invest in infrastructure that creates jobs. One of them is housing. Yeah? Already, as I talk to you, there are 140,000 Kenyans today who work in our housing sector who did not have jobs a year ago. It is my intention that by the 3rd year, we will have 500,000 Kenyans working in that space. And we will also create 1 million homeowners in the next 5 years. And among those homeowners are you guys who are seated here. Yeah, among those 1 million homeowners is the guys who are seated here. And so that space, when I talk about housing, we're talking about engineers, we are talking about architects, we are talking about quantity surveyors, we're talking about electricians, we're talking about plumbers, we're talking about transporters, we're talking about that whole space has jobs, right? Number 2, you had peers here, Tanui talk about the digital space. That digital space has another almost 1 million jobs. And it is the reason why, if you read our manifesto, we said that we are going to have 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic backbone around Kenya. Every ward in Kenya is going to have an ICT hub. Because that space of digital jobs is a real space that can give us opportunities for Kenyans to work. Last week, I'm not talking about last year, I'm not talking about last month, I'm talking about last week. I was in Ruto, where we were commissioning a BPO that is going to hire 5,000 Kenyans. One BPO. The same facility, and they're going to be doing online jobs. That particular BPO by CCI has JetBlue, AT&T, all American companies. Kenyans will be working from Ruiru for American companies here. That same